This presentation aims to give educators a greater understanding and appreciation of the area of integrated studies and the approaches and models, both past and present, utilised within Australian primary school classrooms. When looking at the Australian curriculum, it is clear that over time, the curriculum itself has evolved with a wide range of learning areas, the introduction of general capabilities and cross-curricular priorities, as well as the pedagogies and teaching strategies used within today's modern classroom. Australian education within the 20th century can be described as being delivered through a fragmented model, therefore focusing on each subject area individually with little scope for students to transfer knowledge and skills. As we can see, traditional learning was very much a textbook-driven memorisation of facts in an isolated learning environment. However, given the changing world and the necessity for Australian students to develop necessary 21st century skills, the curriculum, as well as the pedagogies and teaching methods behind it, have been required to evolve to a more integrated model of curriculum delivery. This integrated model can be seen to allow students to develop and transfer 21st century skills within and between and beyond subject areas, allowing them to be taught together. Within the Australian curriculum, integrated areas are already represented by concepts such as STEM, comprising of science, technology, engineering and mathematics, STEAM, comprising of science, technology, engineering, the arts and mathematics, and HASS, comprising of humanities and social sciences. Other benefits of an integrated curriculum can be seen as allowing all students access to flexible and holistic learning based on topics that relate directly to their students' lives. An example of integrated learning can be seen here with the subject of fire. Here, fire can be seen to be easily integrated across several disciplines, including mathematics through mapping, in science through questions such as why things burn, in health, researching effects of burning smoke, as well as in areas such as the arts, humanities, or social sciences and language. One integration model used within Australian primary schools is Fogarty's Integrated Curriculum Continuum. Fogarty's Continuum contains 10 individual models that are then placed in 3 broad learning categories. The first category is intradisciplinary learning, or learning within subject areas. The second category contains multidisciplinary learning and interdisciplinary learning, or learning between subjects. And the last is transdisciplinary learning, or learning beyond the subjects. Fogarty's model can be seen to progress from the least integrated in the intradisciplinary category, which is linked to traditional curriculum approach, through to an integrated curriculum within interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary, and through to transdisciplinary. Here, we see blocks of learning devoted to themes based on students' personal interests and social concerns. Within Fogarty's curriculum integration continuum, the fragmented model can be seen to fall within the intradisciplinary learning area, or within subjects. Through this model, learning occurs in the most traditional form, where each subject is taught separately and independently of each other, with very little scope for the transfer of skills and knowledge across the curriculum, therefore fragmenting the subject areas. Given its link to traditional education, the fragmented model can be seen to align with behaviourist theories, in particular Skinner's theories, and pedagogies of explicit teaching and learning associated with an assembly line education system seen throughout the 20th century. Within the traditional classroom, assembly line education included all students working at the same level, memorising facts that are then assessed for mastery through summative assessments, including exams and tests. One theorist who can seem to be aligned well with the fragmented model is behaviourist theory B.F. Skinner and his theory of operant conditioning. Behaviourist theory underpinning Skinner's operant conditioning theory concludes that learning occurs through the relationship of stimuluses and responses, and that learning is simply mastering a new behaviour. Skinner takes this theory one step further within his operant conditioning theory and concludes that learning takes place within a relationship between behaviours and positive and negative reinforcements. In other words, behaviours could be changed and therefore learning achieved by rewarding good behaviour and punishing negative behaviour, both resulting in overall improved behaviour in all students. The pedagogy behind the fragmented model is explicit teaching or direct instruction. Explicit teaching is a teacher-centred approach where teachers tell students what they need to learn and how they need to learn it, generally through modelling concepts and step-by-step instructions. Students are then given time to practice these skills or hone this knowledge until these are mastered and the next level is achieved. Explicit teaching can be seen to be extremely effective, especially within the maths, where rote learning can be a key to ensure various mathematical concepts and formulas become second nature to students. Therefore, even though fragmented learning is associated with traditional education and has strong links to pedagogy such as rote learning, teacher-led explicit teaching, it can still be seen to have an important place within the Australian primary school curriculum delivery, specifically in learning mathematical concepts, as well as the areas of literacy, especially in reading, spelling and grammar.
This segment of the presentation will focus on Fogarty's webbed model, which falls under the interdisciplinary category and is one of the most commonly used models of integrated curriculum. The teachers would choose a theme, which is used to select appropriate subjects and theories that are connected to that theme. It's important for the teacher to know why the theme they chose is worthy, as well as to focus on a question that drives the thematic investigation. The teacher would then expand this theme through multiple activities and through numerous content areas. An example of a theme may be rainforests. We will go into greater depth with an example in a later slide. One benefit of teaching in this form is that the topics chosen will be of interest to the students, which will create a more meaningful learning experience. Another benefit to this approach is that it will empower pupils to transmit information, talents, and beliefs across knowledge, substance, and experiences. For example, students can apply the skill of critical thinking as well as science and English knowledge in the same integrated topic. They will also be able to apply their general life knowledge. Using an integrated model of learning affords pupils more authority over their studying, especially when it is done through an inquiry model, as will be demonstrated on a later slide. It also transforms learning into real-life experiences because part of real life is integrating knowledge and using it. The pedagogy that would be used would be an inquiry-based approach, which illustrates the view that direct pupil engagement in developing their knowledge is critical to successful teaching and studying. When the teacher uses this approach, the students would be involved by researching their topic. By using inquiry, we can also enhance greater comprehension and assist our pupils to obtain a more advanced level of comprehension. When the teacher uses this pedagogy, it encourages students to pose questions reflective of higher order thinking. When the students are conducting the research, the teacher will be guiding the students and modeling methods of researching reliably. When using inquiry-based learning, it's important for the teacher to manage multiple investigations simultaneously, to provide support to students when necessary, and to continuously assess the progress of each student. Inquiry-based learning is based on the constructivist approach, which asserts that the goal for the students is to make meaning through a hands-on approach, including tangible experiences such as researching, communicating their understandings to others in various ways, and actively learning from each other. For example, students may share their research with each other and brainstorm ideas together. An example of a topic that is chosen may be that of rainforests. The inquiry question would be, what is the relationship between rainforests and habitats? This inquiry will then branch out into multiple subject areas, general capabilities, and cross-curriculum priorities. For example, this question can relate to science inquiry skills because students are formulating questions and suggesting possible answers to those questions. It can be related to English because students will need to formulate texts based on knowledge that they have developed. It can also be related to the general capability of critical thinking because children will be interpreting, analyzing, evaluating, explaining, questioning, and hypothesizing their ideas. This question may also be related to maths because the children will need to calculate the possibilities of various outcomes. And the children may also need to assess what would happen to habitats if something were to happen to the rainforest. Finally, this question may be related to sustainability because the students would need to understand the capacity of Earth to maintain life. Inquiry learning stems from Piaget as well as Vygotsky. Piaget asserts that children actively create their own learning and that direct experience is essential for learning to occur. The term developmentally appropriate education came from Piaget, who viewed children's cognitive development as a gradual process of change with new mental abilities emerging from pre-existing structures. It is important to take this into account when choosing a topic for a webbed integrated unit. The constructivist approach upon which inquiry learning is based stems from Piaget, who suggests that children need to be actively involved in creating their knowledge. This is achieved in the inquiry approach when the children are completing their own research to answer the question of the topic. Vygotsky believed that learning is achieved through social interactions, which is achieved through inquiry-based learning as explained in a previous slide. Vygotsky also believed that the role of the teacher is to assist children to develop understandings and to regulate their own learning rather than to tell them what they need to know. This is achieved through inquiry-based learning because the children are conducting their own research based on a question and are not being told by the teacher what to learn and what to do.
How integrated subjects fit in with Fogarty's model of integration. Another way that students can learn in the 21st century is integrated studies. Fogarty's model of integration shows that integrated studies is interdisciplinary. It has overlapping concepts and ideas from the curriculum. The curriculum is planned around these units of work and include key learning areas from the Australian curriculum. Peter Hudson from the Queensland University of Technology states that targeting a student's learning is the centre of education. In an already overcrowded curriculum, an integrated curriculum that has been designed and planned can be implemented in the classroom. An integrated curriculum offers options to the students' various learning needs. Schools need to look at their planning and decide how an integrated curriculum will work in their school to meet the requirements of the Australian curriculum standards. Integrated studies help students become innovative and self-directed learners of the 21st century. It also helps the students make sense of the bits and pieces they learn from key learning areas and then use them in other areas of their learning. The students are then able to observe, analyse, gather the data, evaluate this data, and apply this understanding to real-world problems. One way this can be done by the teacher is to have a theme or a concept that is taught across year levels, including the key learning areas such as literacy and arts. Teachers need to work together to link the content, and this provides the students with a more rounded curriculum. Teachers who use an innovative pedagogical will open up the learning prospects for enriching a student's learning. This image shows how the integration of the curriculums helps students meet 21st expectations. A theory that supports integrated studies is de Bono's thinking hats. De Bono's thinking hats consist of 6 different cognitive modes. The 6 thinking hats that each represent a method of investigating ideas through an integrated curriculum. The students use their green hat to think of a topic and find solutions, blue hat for working out a process, red hat to find out their feelings on the subject. The white hat is used to find out the facts and how to use them. The benefits and positiveness also come from the white hat. And finally, the black hat is used to identify weaknesses and difficulties with the subject. The 6 thinking hats are used across the school and help the students think about what and how they use what they have learnt in subjects. The ability to use these cognitive modes helps target the students' interests and needs in a more specific way, as well as establishing links to the real world. These are expectations for 21st century learners. An example of using the green hat could be a student thinking about a topic such as sustainability in geography. This covers the key learning areas of science and geography. Students would be further able to explore this link from the content descriptors from Science, Year 4. Living things depend on each other and the environment to survive, and HAS, Year 4. Record and sort data and the location of places and their characteristics in different formats, including simple graphs, tables, maps, using discipline-appropriate conventions. An example of interdisciplinary curriculum would be the teaching of STEM. The key learning areas are science, technologies, engineering and mathematics. STEM knowledge, understanding and skills are strengthened when the areas between learning are emphasised and enriched with authentic learning opportunities. This is especially so when the student can answer an identified problem or create a solution for a problem. STEM jobs are jobs of the future, and the challenge of STEM learning is to build a student's capacity to develop 21st century skills such as problem solving, collaboration, creativity and innovation. These subjects need to be embedded across the curriculum and not be standalone subjects. The rationale behind integrated learning is that the student is the centre of the learning and it targets the student's interests in more specific ways. It allows the students to reflect and establish links to the real world. Subjects can be linked for different perspectives. Difficulties with integrating more than 2 standards in the curriculum can be that the integrity of each standard needs to be maintained. The teacher needs to make sure that the content knowledge is covered for each subject. The differential learning needs of students also need to be considered, as well as what form the assessment will take. If 2 key learning areas are being assessed, that would mean twice as much assessment being done to meet the expectations of the Australian curriculum. Today we have discussed old school teaching versus new school teaching and why an integrated curriculum will benefit a student's teaching and learning in the 21st century. In an already overcrowded curriculum, teachers need to be able to integrate subjects with a focus on key learning areas, as well as catering for the differentiation in learning. An integrated curriculum allows students to see the big picture and not just see knowledge in a fragmented way in single subjects. The integrity of the Australian curriculum must be maintained throughout all areas, no matter what model of Fogarty's is being used, and provide a rich real-world environment for learning.